Are they just battles outside Luthuli House, or are they battles over Luthuli House? This is the quagmire the governing party faces as demonstrations play outside the headquarters over the past few weeks. Good evening, I'm Aldrin Simpier, and this is Unfiltered. The party has now found itself having to field memorandum of demands from various warring factions, from the MKMVA, who laments being sidelined, to the ANC Youth League members who threatened to take the party to court, and now a group that wants the Secretary-General, Ace Magashule, to step down. Joining us for this conversation this evening, I'm joined by ANC Youth League Crisis Committee member, that is Luzuko Bashman. We'll also, a bit later on, be speaking to ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe, and political analyst Somatota Figeni will be joining us for that conversation. Remember that you can be part of the conversation by going onto our social media pages and using the hashtag SABC Unfiltered. That is hashtag SABC Unfiltered. So let's start off the conversation by speaking to Luzuko Bashman, who was amongst those ANC Youth League members who were outside Luthuli House yesterday. Luzuko, I want to go straight into the decision to take the party to court. Why the threat?
Greetings to you and to all of the viewers. Young people in South Africa have been undermined through a process in which a decision that is un-ANC, that stands opposed and transgresses the constitution of the ANC, that of appointing people who are not provided for in the constitution of the ANC in terms of its definition of youth, which is from 14 to 35, are practically staging a coup on the affairs of young people. That is an illegality. It's a departure from principle, and entrenches what is a reality where structures are illegitimate and unconstitutional. So that has evoked a principled and moral and ethical stand amongst young people to say that as young people, we stand for better values and principles, that we want to be a legitimate voice of young people. We want to own the legitimacy that young people themselves are building their own organization themselves through struggles of young people to lead young people. There's never been a situation in our lives where we have seen the Women's League being given to male comrades to rebuild. It's never happened. We've never seen the Veterans League being given to the youth or anyone who's not a veteran to build the Veterans League. We've never seen in South Africa where people who are not workers or shop stewards or in the workplace being given the responsibility to build unions or COSATU. It then becomes principally and morally wrong.
Yeah.
And then has never stood for that those who are engaged in the struggle that they have identified are not given the responsibility to build their own organization and lead their struggles as a generation.
So you're not necessarily, so you're not necessarily against a task team being set up. You're against the members that form part of the task team.
That is where the transgression is. The task team that must be set up, it must be that of young people. We're not against that. We want to build our organization as young people. Young people are facing lots of challenges. We've seen recently that jobs have been shared. 2.2 million jobs have been lost. And the most hit by these challenges have been young people. Young people want to organize themselves. They want to contribute ideas that are innovative and creative in assisting the economic recovery plan announced by the ANC and the President in Parliament. Young people have got the innovation and they've got the intellectual stamina and ability to provide these new ideas. But the movement is starving itself of these new ideas by allowing old people who are above the requirement of youth, who are an illegality in their current existence, presiding over the ANC Youth League, to proceed with an illegal and unconstitutional process.
Okay, then tell me then, in the ANC constitution, where does it say that when a task team is set up, that task team must meet a certain criteria, which includes, in this case for the ANC Youth League, the age, and for the ANC Women's League, which would be the gender? Where do you find that?
These are matters of principle.
So it's not in the constitution of the ANC?
The constitution of the ANC defines youth.
Yeah.
We're talking about the youth league now.
Yeah, but this is a task team.
It's a task team to do what?
Yeah, to rebuild the ANC Youth League.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Now, thank you. Sorry, wait, hold on.
yeah,
I'm responding to your question. You must give me a chance to respond.
okay.
Now, young people who are being built this youth league, how will they hold the people who don't form part of the requirements to be youth accountable for their actions in building the youth league? How must they be held accountable? So we are saying we must have a lawless society. We must have no checks and balances. People must do as they please. That's not the spirit and the nature of the ANC. You can talk about any other organization, but not the ANC. In the ANC, there's a discipline. We are taught this discipline,
Okay.
and we understand this discipline. Amongst those things is to adhere and respect the constitution of the ANC as the primary guiding policy document of the ANC.
Okay, so speaking about discipline, I'm going to play a quick clip from the ANC Secretary General, who was in conversation yesterday with one of our reporters, that is Samkela Maseko, speaking exactly about this protest action that was happening outside the court, outside the ANC Youth League, outside Luthuli House. Apologies, we understand that the clip is not ready. But one of the points that the ANC Secretary General also raises, Luzuko, is he says that party members must be disciplined. Do you think that what you are doing is ill discipline, that you are failing to raise the issues internally within the party?
That can't be. We're taught in the movement that we must raise issues inside the movement. Fortunately, you have rest with the process because we have been here on SABC and many of your radio platforms. We have written to the Secretary General Office. We have written to the National Executive Committee to raise these matters to them. Because we're not just members of the Youth League, we're members of the ANC, and some of us are even leading structures of the ANC. We're known by the ANC. We're not strangers in the movement. So we've followed the process. We've written to provincial secretaries of the ANC. We've picketed in provinces, outside every provincial office of the ANC. We've submitted memorandums. That is to engage in the internal processes of the movement to such an extent that young people have become impatient because there's not been a response that is adequate to say what is happening to the demands that are raising internal. The process has taken for more than 2 to 3 months now, being engaged in the process of raising the matters internal. The ANC, our beloved revolutionary movement, is the one that has fought the apartheid and colonial system to build a national, a democratic society that was still aspiring to realize.
Okay,
But
Luzuko, let's just quickly play this clip. We found the clip. Luzuko, let's just quickly play the clip and then we'll get you to respond to it.
Thank you.
Okay, no, this is not working. Luzuko, let's bring you quickly back up again. So for the ANC task team, for this crisis committee, what happens next for you? When are you filing those papers?
I want to proceed by saying the 1994 breakthrough, which is the victory of the struggles of our people led by the ANC, ushered in a constitutional democracy. That is the victory of the ANC. That the people of South Africa must enjoy rights. They must enjoy human rights.
When are you filing the papers?
Freedom. Part of those realities is that it is the ANC's victory that has created the space where disputes arise.
When are you filing the papers, Luzuko?
We've set a date when we were addressing the media yesterday, that when we are having the national march, and we urge all young people of South Africa to join the national march on the 6th of November, we shall be bringing the case before to address the matters that we feel are a matter of national importance.
Okay. I just quickly then want to ask you that. Luzuko, I think we have already spoken about the importance of the youth league, but unfortunately we're running out of time. I just quickly then want to find out from you, considering that this task team was set up last year and still the ANC Youth League has not gone to a conference, do you believe that this is also an indictment on the Secretary General of the party?
Well, we're quite sad that the response you are telling us that we are not known by an office that has acknowledged our communication. It's certainly worrisome. It brings then a question that what is actually happening in that office? That we can be told those things, because you can't then acknowledge a communication, then tomorrow you don't know these same people.
Okay, do
Then
you have
it's either
confidence in
there's
the Secretary General?
don't bring us to issues of whether individuals of what. We're busy now with a struggle to
Do you
liberate
have
young people.
confidence in the Secretary General of the ANC, Luzuko?
We have confidence in the ANC National Executive Collective that
Do you
is
have
elected
confidence
in
in the
Nazareth.
ANC Secretary General, Ace Makgashulo?
No, we are not going to individualize this thing. The ANC does not believe in individualism. The ANC believes in collective leadership
Yeah,
structures.
but it
It's
is the
not
Secretariat,
individuals
right, that
that
was
take
make sure that you go to a conference, right?
No, listen to me in this way. We've written to the National Executive Committee because it is the structure that leads the organization national, and it is the highest decision-making board in between conferences,
Okay.
not offices of
Okay.
individuals. That is where the confidence of young people is. That's why we've written to that structure.
Okay,
It
thank
is
you so
our
much.
responsibility to hold our leaders accountable.
All right, unfortunately, we've run out of time. That is Luzuko Beshman, who is the ANC Youth League Crisis Committee's member. After this, we'll be speaking to Pule Mabe, who's the spokesperson of the ANC. Also, someone who was appointed by the NEC to make sure that they try and stabilize the ANC Youth League and lead it to that conference. And welcome back to Unfiltered with me, Aldrin Simpier. So we are focusing today on the protest action that have taken place outside Luthuli House. Various groups, including the MKMVA, a group of ANC members from the Free State, also marching outside Luthuli House today, demanding that the Secretary General of the party, Ace Makgashulo, be held accountable. And as we had a conversation earlier on with Luzuko from what they call the ANC Youth League Crisis Committee, also, they're making their allegations and saying that there is influence around the NYTT that has been set up. And right now, we're going to be speaking to Pule Mabe, who is the spokesperson of the ANC Youth League. We'll also be joined by Dr. Somatota Fikeni, who is an analyst. Pule, how far is the party? Good evening and welcome to Unfiltered. How far is the committee that has been set up by the NEC to lead the ANC Youth League to a conference?
Aldrin, evening and evening to your viewers. Your viewers would recall, Aldrin, that at the time when the ANC Youth League was disbanded, an NYTT was put in place, constituted largely by members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, including officials of the disbanded structure of the ANC Youth League, with a sole purpose of really building structures of the ANC Youth League on the ground and making the necessary political preparations for the ANC Youth League to go to its elective Congress, such that they then have a leadership of young people taking care of the affairs of the ANC Youth League, because that is what the Youth League was established to do, to be led by young people, to rally them behind the banner of the African National Congress, at the same time champion their own interests. So there is commitment to make sure that that is ultimately achieved. Now, to respond to your specific question on how far that process is, you would know that when we went on a lockdown, there were already a number of undertakings that the ANC Youth League and the ANC NYTT was already busy with. One such undertaking was to make sure that the ANC Youth League is removed from liquidation. You'd remember that there was a case that was previously brought forward by the Democratic Alliance. So that case has since been settled. The status of the Youth League is now properly in order. Before the lockdown, there were already a number of programs that were being undertaken to make sure that there are BGMs. The Youth League could ready itself for a conference where they could be able to elect their own leadership. But Aldrin, I must also bring this to our attention, that the Youth League in its very nature, its membership is annual. It means that year on year, those who are between the ages of 14 to 35 have got to renew their membership or join anew, depending on whether they've not changed their branches or not. You'd agree that young people themselves are not necessarily found in one place. You would be at this university this year, you might be moving out next year to go and join another branch of the Youth League in another province or at a different location. So there is work that is happening. Over this past weekend, the ANC NYTT had convened its ordinary session to take stock of the work that has been done, the branches that would have been, because the organizing
so
team
do you have a
of
date,
the African
though?
National...
Do you have a date that you have set for when this Congress will happen?
Well, I'm sure that the ANC Youth League NYTT, that would fall well within their own purview. We just emerged from the National Working Committee meeting. And of course, I mean, we had noted some of the work that the leadership of the NYTT is championing. You know,
so there's no
of
date?
Course, well, I mean, the NYTT would have to really speak about such details.
But
because,
so there is no date?
Really within their own purview.
Yeah, so there's no date?
Well, I don't speak, and I saw that you made a mistake when we started the program. You referred to me as a spokesperson of the Youth League. I'm not the spokesperson
of the ANC.
Of the
my apologies there.
Yes. No, I speak on behalf of the ANC. I'm sure that the ANC Youth League, the ANC NYTT, would be the most appropriate structure to speak about.
From the update that the NWC received, there is no date that has been set.
Well, the NWC was really not dealing with issues of dates and all of that, you know. So if there are issues arising out of the National Working Committee of the ANC relating to the work of the NYTT, which requires us to communicate details out to the public.
Pule, you along with the likes of Ronald Lamula, right? You were part of a committee as well that was trying to oversee the stabilization of the ANC Youth League. So I'm asking again, is there a date that has been set for the elective congress of the ANC Youth League?
Well,
yes, no?
Well, Aldrin, I can tell you now that there are a number of proposals on the table. It is for the ANC NYTT to really be able to communicate, deal with issues of the state of readiness, how far they are with the audit, how many branches are in good standing, how many they would need to have in good standing, so that they could be able to constitute a body that is sufficient enough or could make the requisite number to make a Congress in good standing.
Okay, so those proposals on the table, are they for 2021?
Well, most probably they would be for 2021. You would not be able to, you can't have a Congress. I mean, if you try or attempt to have a Congress anytime between now and Christmas, you might not have done sufficient political work. Remember, Aldrin, the whole intention is to make sure that there is no young person who is of age, who belongs to the ANC Youth League, who feels excluded. This process must be well inclusive. All young people who are the right age must feel that they are able to participate in the life of the ANC Youth League, regardless of views that they could be holding.
Okay, so now that you've indicated the most likely it's going to be 2021, we spoke to Luzuko earlier on. Luzuko saying that they'll be taking the party to court next month. The response from the party?
Well, of course, I mean, I do not know, and I know that, I mean, earlier today, your colleagues would have posed a question around a body that refers to itself as a crisis committee of sorts. Now, the ANC has got various structures. It has got the ANC Women's League, the ANC Veterans League, and
Pule,
the
just
ANC
Pule, just quickly hold on to that. We just have to go to a quick ad break. When we come back, we'll ask you to wrap up that point, and then we'll also have Dr. Somato Tefigeni responding to what has played out so far. And welcome back to Unfiltered. We're in conversation with the ANC spokesperson, Pule Mabu. We also have political analyst, Dr. Somato Tefigeni. Pule, just quickly, I need you to quickly answer this question because we're running out of time for this particular segment. And this is in response to what Luzuko said, that they will be going to court in November, which is next month. The ANC's response to that?
Well, of course, I mean, once the ANC has received papers like we do with all other varied court cases, our legal team would be able to respond. I mean, we will not be, we can't talk to an issue that has not been brought to our attention. We will have to wait for these issues to be brought to our attention so that we can attend to them. But I think a very important message that we must convey to the youth of the ANC, that there is commitment on the part of the leadership of the African National Congress to make sure that there is no young person in this country who associate with the ideals of the African National Congress who would be excluded in the processes of rebuilding and ultimately having a vibrant ANC youth league on the ground. We want young people to have a voice in the ANC, and we believe that the youth league is the right platform to be able to allow them to express themselves in that way and contribute effectively and constructively in the life of the African National Congress.
Okay, Dr. Somato Tafigeni, quickly from your end as well, what do you make of this frustration that has been highlighted by the Crisis Committee, the ANC Youth League Crisis Committee?
Well, I do think that if you look at the time from the time the ANC Youth League was banished or was banned or disbanded up until the interim structures which have been there and the task teams which have been there, the frustration would come that younger people within the ANC do not seem to have a body that is autonomous and that is focusing on the youth matters, not being entangled in the ANC factional battles. And that in itself, I think, is the frustration they are feeling, especially when they look with envy on other political parties and formations which seem to be a natural home for the younger people.
Okay, and we'll expand a bit on that just after this. We're going to say goodbye to our SABC 3 viewers, but the conversation continues on the SABC News channel on 404, just after this. Well, welcome back to Unfiltered with me, Aldrin Simpier, in conversation this evening with the ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe and political analyst Dr. Somato Tafigeni. So as we've indicated that earlier on today, we had ANC members protesting outside Luthuli House, and these were members from the Free State. And what they were saying is that the party Secretary General, Ace Magashule, must be held accountable and must step down. Let's just quickly take a listen.
Today we are elated as the Free State members of the ANC in particular, that the NEC has taken a stance to fight corruption irrespective of anybody's position in the organization. And as a result, what has been the consistent expose at the Zondo Commission gives us pride that indeed, whatever that we have been complaining about, it is now in the public domain to an extent that at least those who are fingered in wrongdoing, they must be held accountable.
He led the executive as a premier, which obviously officiated or ran over this asbestos thing, freed the thing. My brother was a bit light. So we came here with those beneficiaries from asbestos houses. So who are saying the former premier, with every claim that has been made against you in relation to those issues of asbestos, can you account? And the leadership must actuate their decision that everybody must step aside who has been alleged in corruption and wrongdoing.
We are still waiting for the 2018 resolutions of the Free State Provincial Conference. We still want to see them. We went to Nasrec, we came back with many resolutions in Nasrec. Free State as a province in 2018, they held a provincial conference the same time as a rugby match should go, 80 minutes. I've never seen that. They've made history. They've made history, but today they are leaders who are being recognized. We would love the NEC to attend to such matters as well.
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Somato Tafigeni. Listening into what those ANC members from the Free State had to say, I also ask myself about the timing of all of this and when it's happening as well. And also on top of it, that here we're speaking about the Secretary General of the ANC.
Well, you must remember that Free State already had its own dynamics and fragmentation. And this, I suspect, is triggered by what the MKVA was doing when they were marching on Lutuli House. And that in itself encouraged other groups to say we can equally organize to do the same. And once you start having a factionalized organization, one day those supporting the Secretary General coming in to march into the headquarters, it will encourage others to come. And an organization with so many grievances, you may end up having the headquarters becoming the headquarters of protests.
So you believe that this will then have a snowball effect where we could see other organizations, well, not really other organizations, but other structures of the party also doing exactly this, even though it may not be against the Secretary General of the party, it could be against another leader of the top six, as we've seen before with former President Jacob Zuma, as well as Cyril Ramaphosa.
Certainly, that's what we've seen in the last few weeks when you saw the MKVA march, whether in Durban or here in Lutuli House. Then you saw those supporting Ace Magashula march into the Lutuli House. You saw the several other entities coming into march. So it becomes a snowball effect that gains its own momentum, and it may not actually be easily controlled if not addressed at this early stage.
Okay, Pulemabe, let's hear your take on that and whether or not you believe that such conduct does actually amount to ill discipline.
Aldrin, well, we do share some of the sentiments expressed by Dr. Madod, that it is important that these things are really managed, because what you will not be able to really respond to effectively is when you have marches and counter marches, which has been what has been happening over the past 3 weeks, I would say, 2 weeks, I would say. There was a march first when there were rumors of an imminent arrest of the Secretary General. There are cadres who came from the Free State to come and register their own concerns on those rumors that were flying around. Subsequently, there was another march by members of MKMVA at Lutuli House that started first at the office of the Premier in Gauteng and came to our headquarters last week. There was another march again in KwaZulu-Natal. Today, there were comrades who came again from the Free State. So bringing again different sets of grievances from the ones that we shall have received in the past. So now this is not desirable. We do encourage our members to use structures of organization to ventilate and air their own views, because the ANC is stronger when its own members are united and use internal mechanisms of organization to be able to register their own concerns. We have assured all of those cadres that came to Lutuli House that we will, within the shortest time possible, respond to the concerns that they shall have brought forward. Our duty really is to make sure that all those that come to head office register their concerns. We then take those and convey them to the leadership of the African National Congress, so that we can all develop a working approach on how we address this thing. But it's also important, Aldrin, while we are with you on air, to address this specific point, that there must be confidence on structures that are democratically elected in the African National Congress, whether they are in a region or in the province, because it becomes difficult when structures do not have, or when members don't really display or express the same level of confidence in their own provincial and regional structures, and then want to have the national structure, the national leadership of the ANC, helping to intervene or resolve what are provincial or regional issues. Of course, we have got a duty ourselves, as mandated by the 54th National Conference, to make sure that we deepen unity well within our ranks. We encourage our comrades to bury their differences and work together. I mean, in the next 2 weeks, we'll be going to by-elections, which are, by the way, going to be a big test for us. This
Yeah.
is the first by-elections that are happening under this COVID-19 conditions. We need to make sure that we sell a message of unity. We assure our people that this is the same ANC that they could still be able to believe in.
Okay.
But when communities out there see us being in variance in terms of how we resolve and attend to a number of many other issues, whether it's corruption, whether it's service delivery, that works to undermine public confidence. Hence, it is important that we do everything else in our power to display the unity required on the ground, so that when we campaign, people, communities out there could then say, this is the same ANC that was there in 1994, the same ANC that has liberated us. This is the same ANC that we can trust.
Okay.
In terms of how it fights corruption.
But
I'm
asking specifically about these demonstrations, or whether or not they amount to ill discipline.
Well, I tried to paint a picture. You know, I mean, we can't at this stage say the one protest is ill discipline, the one protest is discipline. I think we have not arrived at that determination. These are members of the ANC who are coming to Lithuli House to express their views. I mean, we can't today want to label it like that, because
so it's not ill discipline.
Let me just qualify my point. Even before COVID-19, there are comrades who have come to Lithuli House, and we in the leadership had not made a determination to characterize those that come to Lithuli House to file their concerns as being ill-disciplined. So we can't do it now with the ones that are coming now, because it would be unfair. I think what we need to be doing is to really have a framework on how we act to attend to concerns of our members, encourage them to use their own local structures to be able to attend to this, especially because we are mostly working virtually, and you want to make sure that when they come to Lithuli House to deposit their concerns, there is someone there to be able to listen to them, because we are a listening organization. We can't turn our members back.
Let me bring in Dr. Somadoda Figen into this one. Dr. Figen, so Pule Mabe raises the point about the by-elections that are coming up. He also says that there must be confidence in the structures of the party, because if there's no confidence on the structures of the party, it has an impact on brand ANC. But one of the ways to deal with how you protect brand ANC is through disciplinary measures, and the failure of the party to do so has an impact on brand ANC.
There is no doubt that the rule of law within the ANC itself and consistency in terms of holding members accountable has long been weakened by factionalism, because now it all depends on who has the muscle. And those people who have the muscle, who can mobilize, have become almost immunized. We have seen how the integrity committees, one after the other, have fallen by the wayside precisely because of that. So ANC will have to revamp itself and have a long-term view beyond the by-elections, beyond the next elections, in rebuilding the brand ANC, because the greatest enemies of the brand ANC is not the opposition parties, but it's the ANC itself.
Well, so said a former leader of the party as well, and warned the party that once you start governing, there would be various contestations that happen within the party itself. So we continue our conversation focusing on the ANC just after this. Well, as we conclude the show this evening, let's just quickly bring in a clip here from Carl Niehaus, a conversation that we had with Carl Niehaus last week, where he spoke about the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Let's just take a listen, and then we'll have the spokesperson of the ANC, Pule Mabe, responding to that, as well as political analyst Dr. Somadoda Figen.
those who are opposed to radical economic transformation. And Judge Zondo is driving that political agenda very clearly in the biasness that he is showing against President Zuma. I've given you examples. You see, I can continue talking about those examples. I can continue talking about the political context, which all of us know is exactly how this commission came about. But if you do not want to accept that, or if you want to argue that there's not a political agenda, because exactly it suits your political agenda to argue that there is not one, then I cannot help those who try to be blind for the sake of the politics that they want to advance. I can't help them, sorry. When President Zuma had to sign that state capture commission into being, that he expressed his concerns. He also expressed his concerns about the legality of the commission. And yet he was pushed to do so. He did so. But now again, in the recent letter from his lawyers, that issue of the legality of the commission was again raised by him. And I'm pretty sure that his legal representatives, when they eventually file their documents asking for the recusal of Mr. Justice Zondo, will raise that issue of legality once again.
Okay, and let's bring up Pule Mabe, the spokesperson of the ANC. Pule, as the party, have you reflected on the legitimacy of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry being brought into question, specifically, first of all, by the former ANC president, that is Jacob Zuma?
Well, Aldrin, I can tell you now that the ANC has, from the very beginning, expressed its own confidence in the work that the Commission on State Capture is currently conducting. We have never raised doubt on the legitimacy of that commission. If we had raised doubt, we wouldn't have encouraged our members to participate in such. You'd remember that earlier on, when the commission began, it was ourselves, even when we said that we are not going to be making running commentary, we did say those of our members that are invited to appear before the commission must do so. Yeah. Because such then accords them an opportunity to be able to reflect on their own version of events. So it can't be that that we question the legitimacy of a structure and at the same time ask our members to participate on such. But I must make a point here that if there are those of our members who have got views that could best empower the African National Congress to perhaps understand certain things that are not currently in our own purview, such members should then use internal structures of organization to bring their views forward. Because if we all come out to make our different views, which could ultimately be seen to be obstructing the work of the commission, it then delays the work that they are expected to be doing. The views that were expressed by the ANC.
Have you relayed that particular message to the former president of the ANC?
Well, I think that the message we have relayed is not necessarily to individual members of the African National Congress, whether it's the former president or any other member. We have relayed a statement to all of our members. We have said all our, but of course, I mean, individuals in this country have got rights. I mean, so they are welcomed to exercise their own rights in a way and manner that they deem fit, for as long as the exercise of their rights remains constitutional and does not go against the rules of procedure. They're entitled to exercise their rights. I mean, if you exercise your right, the ANC can't stop anyone from exercising their very rights. We say, let's go and participate in these commissions, reflect on our version of events. But we are not saying that we are not taking away anyone's rights. If there are views that individual members want to ventilate as it relates to invitations that could have been made for them to appear before the commission, they are most welcome to exercise their rights for as long as they do such well within the confines of the law. Okay, Dr. Somato Tefigeni, quickly, just from your end, this is not any other ANC member. This is the former president of the ANC. Would it be fair to expect of the party and its leadership to have a conversation
with the former president of the country, because what he is doing is also casting doubt and casting aspersions on the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. But as Pule Mabe has said, that any individual is entitled to hold their views.
Certainly, I do think that a united, coherent ANC would have long approached the former president to say, let's approach the matter differently. But a fragmented ANC, but also an embattled former president who feels that he is being singled out for whatever reasons, that is not going to work, precisely because his chemistry and the current leadership in the main, especially the faction that is not on his side, is so bad by any standards of the recent ANC experience in leadership.
Yeah.
But more important though, ANC ought to just overhaul itself, deal with the recurring issues which have been allowed, and be consistent in so doing, because it is the inconsistency that has actually brought the ANC to the space where it is.
Okay. Pule Mabe, just in closing, we understand that the former, not the former president, but at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, when the chairperson of the ANC appeared, Gwede Mantashe, had committed that the president will appear before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry right at the end. Is that commitment still on the table?
Well, of course. I mean, the commitments that the ANC has made as it relates to its own appearance of its own leaders, whether it's the president, the national chair, or any other member of the National Executive Committee, so entrusted with that responsibility by the organization, that commitment still stands. The ANC has said that if it is required to come and speak or give whatever information it could on its own processes to the Zondo Commission, the ANC will gladly and cooperate.
No, but it was an offer that was made that the ANC president will come and appear before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry without being called. So I'm asking if that commitment is still on the table.
Well, I'm sure that if the national chair would have made that statement, there's not been any other thing that would have suggested that that offer is no longer on the table. And I'm sure that at the right time, if the ANC needs to come in and file a different commentary, the movement will do that.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the spokesperson of the ANC, as well as a political analyst, Somadoda Fikeni, who joined us for that conversation. We've come to the end of today's show, Unfiltered, with me, Aldrin St. Pierre. From me and the rest of the team, it is Totsins. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.